Early one morning, a young woman named Helen Stoner arrives at 221B Baker Street seeking the help of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. She is visibly frightened and distressed. Helen explains that she lives with her stepfather, Dr. Grimesby Roylott, a violent and aggressive man who was once a doctor in India but now resides in Stoke Moran, their ancestral estate in England. She tells Holmes that 2 years earlier, her twin sister, Julia, died under mysterious circumstances, just before her planned marriage. Now, Helen herself is engaged, and recent strange occurrences in the house have led her to fear for her life. Helen recounts the events of the night Julia died. One night, Julia had come to Helen's room, troubled by mysterious whistling sounds she had been hearing in the dead of night. That evening, after returning to her own room, Julia locked the door as usual. Later that night, Helen heard a terrible scream, followed by her sister's last words. It was the Speckled Band. When Helen rushed to Julia's room, she found her sister convulsing on the floor before she succumbed to a sudden, inexplicable death. The room was locked from the inside, and no cause of death could be determined. Roylott attributed it to shock and hysteria. Now, 2 years later, Helen has been made to sleep in Julia's old room due to renovations in her own. She has recently begun hearing the same whistling sounds that Julia described, making her fear that she may meet the same fate. Holmes, recognizing the urgency of the case, assures Helen that he will investigate. After Helen departs, Holmes conducts some research into Dr. Roylott's background. He learns that Roylott has a history of violence and was once imprisoned for assaulting a man. He also keeps exotic animals from India on his estate, including a cheetah and a baboon. Shortly after, Dr. Roylott himself appears at Baker Street, demanding to know what Helen has told Holmes. His threatening behavior and attempt to intimidate Holmes only reinforce the detective's suspicion that he is involved in Julia's death. Holmes and Watson travel to Stoke Moran, where Helen discreetly leads them to her room. They examine Julia's bedroom, noting several peculiar details: a bed that is bolted to the floor, a ventilator that connects to Dr. Roylott's room rather than to the outside, and a bell pull that does not function but instead hangs close to the bed. Holmes also observes a small saucer of milk in Roylott's room, though no cat is present. Recognizing a pattern, Holmes tells Helen to sleep elsewhere for the night while he and Watson secretly keep watch in the room. That night, Holmes and Watson sit in total darkness, waiting in silence. A faint light appears from the ventilator, followed by a quiet hissing sound. Suddenly, Holmes leaps forward, striking violently at the bell pull with his cane. A terrible scream erupts from Roylott's room, and when Holmes and Watson rush in, they find Dr. Roylott dead, with a peculiar snake coiled around his head, the Speckled Band. Holmes identifies it as a swamp adder, the deadliest snake in India. Roylott had been using the snake as a murder weapon, sending it through the ventilator to bite his stepdaughters as they slept. He would then recall it with a whistle and reward it with milk. Julia had been killed this way, and Helen was meant to be the next victim. However, when Holmes struck the snake with his cane, it turned back and bit its master instead, killing him instantly. With the mystery solved, Helen is safe, and Holmes expresses no remorse for Roylott's fate, considering it justice for his crimes. The case demonstrates Holmes' keen observational skills and logical reasoning, as well as his ability to act decisively in moments of danger. The eerie atmosphere and elements of Gothic horror make it one of the most suspenseful and memorable stories in the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.